Smita Ojha, and I work at Google, working in the enterprise cloud division and also working towards the enterprise apps. I just relocated to Bangalore 6 months back, so Bangalore is a new city for me as well as India. I was in US for 18 years before that, in Google first, and prior to Google I was at Facebook for a couple of years, and before that in Microsoft for 10 years. Of course, my studies and everything was done in India. I was born and brought up in Rajasthan, which was known to be the state with the lowest education rate for girls. And I went to IIT Bombay for my bachelor's, and from there, the usual journey of going and doing your master's and getting a job.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Chandrakala, and I'm currently working with Intuit as a program manager. I have been with Intuit for the last 4 years, and prior to Intuit, I was with Thomson Reuters for about 10 years. So I've been in the industry for past close to 15, 16 years, and mainly in the roles of program management, release, transition, and project management kind of roles. And my fellow colleagues, even from the beginning of my career, call me as CCB, not because of my name, but because I've been running change control board meetings, which actually goes in synonym with my name acronym as well. So yeah, I've been teased about as a CCB kind of a person. Yeah. Nice to be here, thank you.
Thank you, CCB.
Hi, I'm Sonali. I'm a software engineer at Google. I work for the assistant team. I also had my education done in India in College of Engineering, Pune. And then I worked for 2 years in Morgan Stanley, then went to the US to pursue my master's at University of California, San Diego. And I was in the US for 5 years, worked at Amazon and Google. And it's been 7 months for me as well that I've moved back. And I'm really excited to be here and sharing my journey with all these talented and accomplished women out here. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Geetha Kannan from Google. From the Anita Borg Institute, and I think I would have seen many of you all at our Grace Hopper celebration. I'm not going to say how many decades I've been in the industry, because already today's health capsule, I read that people die of a broken heart. So there would be many people in this audience would be, hearts would be broken if they knew. They already think I'm so young to be part of this panel, and if I say how old I am, heartbroken. That said, I've actually worked only in 5 companies, and one of them was my own consulting firm. And the majority of my career was at Infosys. And I think apt to what this whole thing is, lift while you climb. I think that was one organization that really lifted me as it climbed in all senses. And so I've worked all from marketing, sales, strategy, coding, worked as a consultant during the .com days. I mean, name it, I've done it, and quality control. So it's kind of amazing to see that Google could bring such a fantastic group of people together, and that shows the interest, and that shows really that we're all willing here to lift while we climb, as well as y'all are also willing to lift while you climb and be lifted. And I think that's a great thing. Thank you, Google.
Thank you so much. So I have one question for all of you, which is, if you could talk to us about your journey to get to where you are today. Can we start with you, Smita?
So let me start with a journey of something from my childhood. The one event which I very prominently remember, and something which I tell myself every time I face some hurdle. So this was when I was in school days. I was doing gymnastics, and I was asked if I want to jump through a ring of fire. So there's a real ring and they put a cloth around it. We are so professionals, right? We'll just put a cloth, pour kerosene, put a fire on it, and they say, Smita, would you like to jump through it? And I said, sure, I'll do it. And I jumped through it. And I jumped through it once, twice, and it was all good. And that was the point, I think, which Amrita mentioned, that when you are young, you just dream, you don't have the fear, and you jump through the fire. So every time I see that hurdle come in front of me, what I remember is the ring of fire. And yes, I can do it. The second such hurdle came, of course, after 12th standard, when the entrance exams play a big role. And I did not get into IIT. And I felt pretty sad because I thought I had a fair shot. And my relatives and everybody came to me and said, hey, you got into college XYZ. That is really good enough. It is good enough for you. I mean, those colleges are really good. But my dad, who has joined me today and sitting at the back, he came and just told me, like, I don't think that is good enough, right? Just like Amrita had her mom backing her up. And I'm like, no, everybody's saying I should just take this admission and I'll have a decent college and a good life. I tried again with all the support from my family, and I was ranked third in joint entrance examination. And third means third in women, overall 70. So not third overall, but still. So so for me, that was a very big ring of fire. It was a 1 year of hard work and perseverance, just like Amrita said, so another example there. And after that, of course, the examples continue. The recent one, I will say, is where I doubted myself that whether I am good enough or not. This is just while I was switching jobs or in the Silicon Valley looking at jobs. And I had so many offers with me when I was moving out of Facebook and trying to look for other jobs. I had many offers, and I almost accepted one of them. And I went to my mentor there, and I said, hey, I'm going to accept this job. It matches my passion. I will work with great people. It is close to my house. My commute will be nice. I'll play more Pokemon Go with my family. And he's like, no, Smita, this is not good enough. And I'm like, no, this is good enough for me. I know it. But that mentor believed in me so much, that he's like, no, Smita, this is not good enough for you. And I said, I have to accept it in 2 days. So he's like, okay, you still have 2 days, right? And so many doors in just those 2 days opened up because he forwarded my resume to somebody, or it just got viral in 2 days that I had already 7 offers, and then in 2 days I had even more offers lined up. So that was the power of networking and mentoring, and believing in yourself about what is good enough, and also trusting others when they tell you what is good enough and not for you. Like, trust those mentors who push you beyond your comfort zone.
Thank you, Smita. Can we have Geetha, you sharing your journey?
So actually, we were going to bring that ring of fire, but I forgot. I know Lakshya told me, but then I forgot that for you to jump through. But I'm sorry. I mean, we could have really demonstrated it here, right? But I think all of us go through that ring of fire, and I really like that, because as an analogy, it's like way there, because sometimes, I'm a great fan of all these Chinese animated cartoons. So 2 of my favorite ones are Mulan and the Kung Fu Panda, 1, 2, 3, okay? And if you look at it, they come up with, I'm sure if we did Indian animation as well, we would have even heavier dialogues, but they come up with such pithy sayings that really stay with you. The story of Mulan is what all of us go through, because sometimes we have to be the men just to succeed, right? And the other one is the Kung Fu Panda's master Shifu, who says, if you only do what you can do, then you'll be no better than what you are, right? So, and I think some of the things that have stayed in my journeys is just a few things, but I think they are powerful for me and have helped me a lot. One is what Amrita said, is all the allies, never ever not ask for help. sometimes we think we're vulnerable because we're asking. We have to be the strong women and not ask for help. We can do it ourselves. But very often that sets us back a lot. When I did my first job, which was actually at a textile mill, nothing to do with IT, I lasted only 1 year there, but I think it gave me the insight into, I was the only management trainee that was selected among a bunch of other men, and I just couldn't manage being away from home, sharing rooms with people. I know it sounds absurd, but it was very difficult. And then, so I wanted to come back to South India, and I was saying, but then I went and met the works director, and I said, I'm quitting. And so he asked, why are you quitting? I said, I don't have a place to stay. So he says, why didn't you ask me in the first place? And then he called somebody, and I got this kind of a one-bedroom place in Mumbai for 70 rupees a month, which is like phenomenal. When I was earning 1,200 rupees a month and just paying 70 for my own one bedroom, it was mind-blowing. But that was the beginning of the thing, ask. It's just 3-letter words. It's not a 4-letter word, but it's a 3-letter word, but just ask. And sometimes you'll be amazed at what you get because you just ask. And the second thing is that you have to keep on looking for opportunities, right? And seizing them as you go. And you don't know where those opportunities come from. So network, I know all of you all aren't from Google, but please at least sit next to somebody who you don't know. I see 3 of my Anita B staff sitting together. But yes, be spread out, because here at least meet 2 people, 5 people who you don't know. And that network can be amazing. At least GHCI has taught me how people have used the network to grow. They've seized opportunities, and some of them are real heart-wrenching stories. So 2 things that I've really learned is the ask and keep looking for those opportunities. Thank you.
Thanks, Geetha. We move on to CCB.
Yeah. So I started off in a non-tech company and as a non-tech role rather, but that was not what I really wanted to do. But because of the kind of opportunity I got, I started off in a non-tech way. And as I moved on from an individual contributor to people manager, there was something that was really, the non-satisfaction bit was really hitting me. And I was really unsure what next kind of a person. So I was, after that, while this was going on in my career journey, I had my personal, advancements in my personal journey as well, getting married and having a kid. And that's when I told my mom, you know what, I'm very happy being a mother, why not let me take a break and then decide what I want to do in life and all of that. But I think she was the one who pushed me hard and said, you know what, you have all the support at home. Why is it that you want to just stay back? I know it's an important phenomenon in your life, but you can still be a mother and do something in your career journey as well. So that's when I started, as I was already in a project manager role and I was always interested in the PMP and doing certification kind of a thing, I kind of accelerated by doing more certifications in this line. And that really tremendously helped me to gain knowledge and also give that confidence to be able to apply for bigger roles. So I think that was really a turning point in my career to be able to stand where I am today. So yeah, there will be a phase when you feel, you want to take a back seat, take the life as you want, but have that one person in your life or listen to somebody who is already always trying to push you. So keep up that pace, and it's okay to take a break. I'm not saying don't take it, but always be on the lookout. Yeah.
I really like how this theme of really having a support system for yourself is coming out from each of our speakers. And that's definitely something that I would like each of you to think about. With that, Sonali, can you talk us through your journey?
So a significant part of my journey that I remember was when I went to the US for my master's. Up until that point, it was very clear. Everybody in my friend circle was doing computer engineering and doing their bachelor's. So I did that. Then I worked for 2 years, then everybody was going for masters, so I also decided to go for masters. But once I reached there, and there was a total shift of the entire culture and my support system. I didn't have friends there, no family there. And then I started getting all these introspective questions as to, what am I really doing here? And I'm wasting so much money. Like, what is it that I really want? What is my passion? And it was like a really bad period in my life. I was working and studying with some of the most competitive and talented people out there, so it was very hard to keep up with all the courses as well. There was a lot of competition for research funding, TA funding, a lot of competition for internships, so it really brought me down. So at that point, I decided that I'm going to be more kind to myself. Like, that is the first step of, kind of getting your act together and then working on it. It was also the time that I started becoming more aware of a lot of social justice issues in India, because one of my friends was very passionate about it. And then as I learned more, I felt the need that I should do something about it very strongly. So I started volunteering part-time for this organization in the US, which works for issues in India. And somehow it came together. Like, I saw that there are so many people who don't have the privilege, right, because of various reasons, to actually, make something good out of their life and their career. So if I have gotten that opportunity, I should respect it and, work towards it. So that kind of, really brought me back, and then I rebooted myself and, pushed myself through masters, and yeah. So I think that has been like the takeaway for me, that, be kind to yourself.
Thanks, Sonali. So keeping in mind the theme of today, which is Lift as You Climb, I would love to hear your personal stories on somebody who has lifted you or somebody whom you have lifted for all of us to know. So Chandrakala, can we have you start?
Okay, somebody lifting me is a heavyweight task. So, but yeah, I think I saw one champion in my mentor, my previous manager, Anandi, I would like to call her out. So she was one person in my career journey who made a tremendous difference. And especially when you don't know a person, when you start working with them, having that confidence, having that, seeing the success in others, and seeing the success in yourself, that requires a different muscle, and she had it in her. And not just me, I think I have seen her kind of lift others in her journey while she herself is growing in a big way. I think she's been the one person who has really lifted a lot of people, not just me. So yeah, she's been the one.
So at that point, my mentor, Mark, he took me to a conference room and had a one-on-one conversation with me. So he said that this is not the first time that this thing has happened. Many people make such kind of mistakes in their early career, and it is not going to affect your career in any way. He said that you have an excellent work ethic, and you will do well wherever you go, be it this company or be it some other company. And then he told me about his own story of how in his early career, he ended up doing something which ended up costing the company like significant monetary damage. So that trust and empathy that he put in me at that time really brought me back to sanity. And that was also the time that I realized, and that realization has been reinforced in my mind through my experience so far, that as much as it is important for you to choose the right project, it is also important for you to choose the right people to work with. People who will genuinely look out for you and who will enable you in every way possible.
Thanks, Sonali. I can really relate to your story. Smita, what is your story?
See, definitely a lot of support from the leadership and colleagues at work, but I would say if there is one person who stands out in helping me and lifting me, it's my husband. And he's been my supporter, my champion, and kind of like helped me through all the phases. I know him now for 18, 20 years now, so I think at every step he has helped me, even when time came of when we were having kids, he's the one who took a step back and he said, okay, we'll make sure that we get the right family together at the right time. So he took a step back at that time, and so that I could get back to work.
Wow, thank you. This clap is for your husband.
I'll let him know.
Thank you. Actually, I'm going to just tell you a little secret. It's hard to say secret when there's so many people in the room. But in 2003, Infosys had a very bad, we do these employee engagement surveys. I don't know if we still do them, but, and it came out like, it was one of the lowest in its history. And so all the board of directors got together and they said that there is an urgent need to bring HR closer to production and delivery. And my apologies to anyone who's in corporate HR here, but they said corporate HR used to sit in ivory towers and were clueless about what's happening really on the shop floor kind of thing. And so I have this bad timing of being in the right place at the wrong time. And I was in that board of directors meeting, and so I think it was Nandan or someone who looked at me and said, Geetha, why don't you put a white paper together as to how this would happen? And I'm clueless about HR, so I was like, okay, I mean, white paper, how easy can that be? I mean, it's just writing, right? So I did write that white paper, but unfortunately or fortunately, I was asked to implement what, I don't know what to say, was written on that white paper. That's a 4-letter word, by the way. And I was commissioned to do it. So I then went to the head of corporate HR and said, I know nothing of HR. Give me 4 or 3 people who know it. And I was given a few people. 2 of them stand out. One I got was a person who could not manage a team at all. And every team member who worked with her has asked to be transferred out. And the second person was a male colleague who suffered from illness in terms of he was diabetic, but he also had vertigo. And he used to tremble all over when he was talking to somebody, which is more mental rather than anything because of the fear. These were the 2 people I got, right? That's why it's a secret, because corporate HR gave these wonderful people to me. But that's what I learned there. And I think I was fortunate in what corporate HR did for me is those 2 people have now, they're very successful. They grew with me. I grew it from that 2-member team that I got to 205 when I left Infosys. But it just taught me that, it's not enough if I fulfill my ambitions. There are other people out there whose ambitions have to be fulfilled. And they never got the right opportunity or the right, I wouldn't say mentor, sponsor, boss, but somebody who would understand who they are for their strengths. And believe me, the women I said who couldn't manage a team, she is one of the most domain experts, I would say, in the country today. And, and a lot of people learned from her, so it was so gratifying to have her. And the male colleague who came on board, he's, one of the stars at Infosys today. So it was so gratifying to see, that giving back is as great as getting it from other people.
Thank you so much, Geetha. So Chandrakala, can you talk to us about a few specific challenges that you faced in your career, and what did you do to overcome it?
Okay, one thing that always we see as women is about perception about gender bias, right? So there is the constant stigma attached, especially, I don't want to really say male managers, even female managers. As we grow, sometimes we have this doubt among, especially when I started, they have this doubt whether people can really scale up to that role, whether they're willing to give that commitment. The kind of roles that I was in, it was not a 9 to 6 kind of a job. It was mostly late hours or double shifts or work. Since it involved coordination across different geos, they kind of expected me to be alert at all point in time because of time constraints. So the managers that I worked with, mostly male that point in time, I don't want to be really biased, but that was a stigma attached at that point in time in the society, because your parents are concerned about you working late in the offices, they're worried about your security. And even our colleagues also as women, most of them wouldn't take such roles. They're like, I want to be going back at home by 5, be with family and all of that. But somebody to have confidence at that point in time was very little. So that was the kind of challenges that I faced, wherein managers wouldn't even consider you for such roles. They'll think, okay, maybe she might not be ready. But so you had to constantly tell them, I can do it. Give me a chance. I can do it, and take some real small opportunities to show that you are ready up for it. And many times it so happened that they didn't even offer, or probably even when they know that you're capable, you're not even promoted. And when you actually go back and ask why I'm not promoted, they would say that, probably I thought you were married and maybe your husband was out of station, so probably we thought you might quit and go. I'm like, probably you didn't even check with me. Then it really stuck to me that, I didn't go for it and ask for it. So next time, let me be very clear and make it a point to others telling, I'm here for the growth, I'm here to make a commitment, I'm here to deliver. So it has to be taken from our end to actually overcome these obstacles and not blame it on the managers, because that's the stigma that is bound to happen everywhere. So we have to kind of make that constant effort to let people know that you are interested, you are in the game, and you probably take some opportunities to show that you want to do things. So that is the kind of effort that you will have to extra put in as probably females. But I really want to credit that we're not seeing that off late much. But yeah, back then it was a big thing, and overcoming the perception and trying to prove that as a woman also you are equally or probably more committed than men was a big journey. And that was the effort that we have to show there.
Thank you. Sonali, you want to take a stab at this. What are the challenges you faced and what did you do to overcome it?
So my major challenge was when I rejoined the industry after my master's. Unfortunately, I got into a team which I could not resonate with at all. Like, the product was not something that I was passionate about, and the technical work was not challenging at all. But I was very skeptical to do something about it, to reach out to people and, change my team. I had these doubts as to, is it too early for me to actually make a decision? And my mentor at that time suggested that I should reach out to senior folks in my organization who can give me a bipartisan view of my situation. So I set up meetings with 2 directors, and now that I look back, it was the best move that I ever made. They listened to me very patiently, they gave me their views on my situation, and they in fact also connected me with managers of teams which they thought is a potential good fit for me. And I eventually ended up making that transition, and it was so good for me because I learned more as a software engineer. I got great work satisfaction. I built a very strong profile which helped me later when I was actually interviewing in other companies as well. And I got a great mentor that I already talked about in my previous question. So my key takeaway from this was that, I should learn to listen to my own instincts and reach out to people whenever I need help, because there are always people available who will help you out. And I am the kind of person who will cook up these hypotheses in my mind, without really confirming with anyone, Is it too early for me? I'm a junior engineer. Can I really make a change? Will I be considered as a fleeting bee? But those things were completely erased when I talked to people around me who were in a position to advise me.
Thanks, Sonali. Going to Smita. Smita, as you look back on your career, what is that one thing that you're really proud about?
Yeah, I think, my career has been about 18 years in technology, in the development ladder, all throughout. So if I think about one particular area, I'll choose something which is something which everyone can relate to. And this is something which also I'm doing in my current role as well. It is about building and deploying scalable distributed systems. So everybody is aware of social networks like Facebook. Yeah, so in Facebook, everything behind the scenes, if you see, it is a graph. It is either a node or an edge. Any concept you see in Facebook. You are a person, you are a node, you have a friendship with another person, it is an edge. There is a news article, which is a node. It has multiple paragraphs. Each one is a node linked. You like a particular article, you like a particular paragraph. So everything there is a big social graph, they call it. And this is public paper. That's why I'm able to also share it out very openly. So Facebook social graph is trillions of nodes and edges. And this entire Facebook social graph is in memory across thousands of servers. When you load a page, when you load a mobile page, anything, that whole query that one you do, give me the Facebook homepage or newsfeed, that whole page, that whole request is distributed to hundreds of requests to the social graph. Because I need to find out who are your friends, I need to find out what did you like in the past, I need to find out what post did you make and who has liked, so it's distributed. So there I was managing the entire Facebook social graph cache layer of infrastructure, and that whole caching layer used to serve, including all different types of caches, it was serving, any ideas how many queries per second? Any guess? Huh? Okay, millions, higher. Billions. Huh? Billions. Getting there, okay. So that whole social graph system was serving 7 billion queries per second. And it was just amazing to be part of the journey, amazing to learn. I am working on a similar project in Google on scalable distributed systems for G Suite. Do you guys know G Suite, Gmail, Docs? So I'm working on the equivalent part. So it's something that I really feel proud of, to be able to contribute back to the industry of building such large-scale distributed systems.
Thank you, Smita. Wow. So Geetha, there's about 12,000 women that we are looking to reach through these Women Techmakers summits across the globe. Share your thought about what could we do as a global community to be stakeholders at each other's successes.
George Eliot, who actually was a woman, wrote, limits have a beginning and an end, right? And for us as women, our beginning is we sometimes define ourselves as women. And so we are so proud with that identity, but at the same time, that is probably our most limiting factor, that we are women, right? And I think one thing, if everybody in this room could do, call a color, not have blue for boys, pink for girls, and then if we could just say a color, you can choose a color, it doesn't matter. And coming then to what would these 12,000 women tech makers they can do. Each one of us is a candle, and if we want to change that color code, each one is a candle, and you can go out lighting other candles in your different roles. You could be a daughter, you could be a mother, you could be a colleague, you could be a spouse. But many, many people aren't even aware of what we as women are going through, because we don't talk too much about it, but we preach to the choir. We keep talking amongst ourselves, but we don't go out and say, male allies, this is what we need from you. So ask your spouse if you need help. Break barriers if you're a daughter. And if you are a parent, make sure that the color code doesn't exist in your house. I mean, I met day before yesterday the captain of the women's rugby team. And she was brought up in a house that had gender neutrality. And I thought that's probably it's the next word that I'd use, not inclusivity, I think, but make it all neutral. It doesn't matter whether we're girls, boys, do what we can, right? So if you're a parent, if you can do that, you're serving the next generation. So I'd love the 12,000 tech makers to light that candle and give it on and pass it on. It should let it shine. Don't hide it under a bush. Let it shine.
Thank you so much, Geetha. I have a few more questions, but in the interest of time, I would like to hear a few questions from the audience, if you have any questions for our panel. There will be mic runners around. Please wait till you get a mic so that the folks who are there with us on live stream can also hear your question.
Hi, good morning, ladies. I'm Divya. Each of you spoke about the mentors in your life and how you are also mentoring other people, so lifting as you climb. How do you identify a mentor, or did the mentor identify you? And, what are the things, I think you already mentioned about the things that each person brought to your life. But do you actually start the conversation with telling them what you're looking for, or you let them guide you in the process?
That's a good question. Thank you for that. And one tip that I follow is, of course, it's good if a mentor picks you, but it doesn't happen most of the time. So watch out for idols or somebody in your organization around you. Now that we have the networking events, look up to people who really inspire you. There is no harm in just reaching out to them and say, I want to be mentored by you, or I have a few questions for you. LinkedIn plays a big role, and they do have a good feature wherein you can get mentored. Reach out to them. Many times you might not get response, but out of 10 people, I'm sure you can name 10 people across the industry or in your company alone or amongst your friends whom you can actually look up to and say, I have few questions for you. I want to be mentored, and I want to really need 5 minutes in probably a month's time. That 5 minutes sometimes gives you the energy to get going for the next few couple of weeks. So identify such people, reach out to them, and get going. Yeah, don't hesitate.
Thank you, Chandrakala. I think we have a question there, right at the center.
Hi, it's really wonderful to hear all such anecdotes and stories from you guys. I have a question for Chandrakala. You mentioned
Can you
that...
introduce yourself, please?
Sorry. Hi, I'm Shilpi, and I work as a technical developer here at VMware. Aspire to be a leader as well, so most of your stories are also some way learnings for me. One of the learning which I want to deep delve into is, Chandrakala, you mentioned that asking is important. Knowing that you can do is important is also Amrita told about. Now, what I want to further understand is asking is important, but how to also make an impact when you, sometimes when you ask, the other person may not see your talent or where your passion is going. So how to handle those kind of situations and make an impact there?
Yeah, as I mentioned to you, all mentors may not be really, have the time or maybe the interest also sometimes to look up or to even give the time to you to mentor. So many times you might face disappointments. So what you have to do is at that point in time, there is no harm in reaching out a couple of times. When you have that perseverance, like even Amrita mentioned, when you have the perseverance, they do give in that 5 minutes many a times. So perseverance, reach out to them. Or sometimes it's okay to let go and move into other persons who actually make a difference to you, to your lives. So it's okay, give it a try a couple of times. Maybe they've not seen the email, they've not seen the text. There's no harm in reaching out a couple of times. And then if it's still not working out, move on to others who can really help you. It is always a two-way, it cannot be a one-way, so yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Shivani Agrawal.
So let me clarify, because there were two questions on mentoring. I want to clarify the difference between a mentor and a sponsor. Okay, a mentor is somebody who can be a friend, it can be a colleague, it can be your manager, it can be somewhere outside your zone, who do not have context, but they can brainstorm your situation. A good mentor is the one who will ask you the right questions so that you will get the solution yourself. That's the role of a mentor, right? The role of the sponsor is different. The sponsor is somebody who believes in your work, who will lift you up. And sometimes you don't even know who your sponsor is. And sponsors come by, first of all, knowing your core and doing the best and being an expert in that core. And somewhere somebody will notice, oh, this is a spark. And you may not know who that sponsor is. It may be 3 levels up. So I wanted to clarify the difference between mentor and a sponsor here, because I felt there was I think your question was more for a sponsor than for a mentor somewhere. So,
Thanks, Nita.
Hello. Hi.
Can we have this? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Shivani Agrawal. I'm a student from PS University South Campus. I have a very silly question.
No question is silly. Please go ahead.
Yeah. I have a question to all of you. Like, as all of us grow up, we meet new people, and there are a lot of challenges for all of us. But then, it's all about being an extrovert. If you see it from the point of view of an introvert, how an introvert interacts with the world, and being a girl, you have a lot of new people when you meet. And sometimes we do have trust issues. So being a woman, how do you handle the trust issues? How do you react to it? And how do you grow after that?
I'm seeing 2 questions. One is introvert and one is trust. Am I right?
Yeah.
So introvert, I'd suggest that you read a book that's out there that says how an introvert can survive in the industry. And it's pretty mind-blowing in the sense that like we always say that men design the world, and that's why we struggle as women. And unfortunately, the extroverts also design the world. So introverts will struggle. But that's probably what that book will help you relate to, is the fact that there are certain situations you can choose to be an introvert, but sometimes you just have to be not an extrovert, but you have to play the game. Like even if you're a bad academic student, you do still study, right? So you just have to play that game. So and that it gives you pointers how you can do it. And I can probably give you pointers to that book later on. And the other thing of trust, I think if you trust people, that trust is automatically built up. It's probably if you think the world can't cheat you, and no one will cheat you too, right? It's not that none of us in this panel haven't been but I think it's just, you shouldn't lose trust even if there is one transaction that makes you feel distrustful.
Thank you, Geetha. For the want of time, the panelists will be around. I would love to have you interact with them, but I want to leave us with one last question for all of you. And the question is, how might you coach women in the room to advocate for themselves in one line?
So I would say, own your brand. Your perception is owned by you, and your perception is your brand.
Thanks, Smita.
Okay, I would say obstacle is the path. Embrace it with PA, that is perception, action, and will.
Thank you so much.
I would say connect with yourself, listen to your instincts, and assert yourself both at the workplace and at home. You have a legacy to build for yourself.
I think it's all of the above, okay? but I would always say that, it's easy to say it, but the destiny is yours. And you've been given one chance, don't throw it away. So, that history that you want to make, the destiny that you want to make, it's all in your hands. And I wish you all the best for that.